Near mint condition, the home of collected editions.
That cover's so awesome.
This is Mr. Chris Claremont, a legend.
Melanie goes,
Eat some Tired.
how's it going, all you minties? Uncanny Omar here from Near Mint Condition, the home of collected editions. And join me today for my advanced look at the latest printing of the Annihilation Conquest Omnibus from Marvel Comics. So let's go ahead and get started. And welcome back, everybody. Before going any further, a big thank you to David Gabriel and the fine folks at Marvel for sending us an advance copy of this Omni. This omnibus is due out in the direct market and book market on August 19th or 20th, depending on where you get your books. What we're looking at here is the standard edition cover. This is the one by Alexis Briclot. This is the one that's going to be available everywhere. On the left-hand side is your direct market cover. That is the one that is supplied by Clint Langley and is only available through the direct market. So places online like cheapgraphicnovels.com, waltzcomicshop.com, bdcosmos.com, readcomics.com, comicsbugle.com, forbiddenplanet.com, dyingbreedcollectors.com, organicpricebooks.com, Tales of Wonder, DCBS, In-Stock Trades, and of course your local comic book store. Everything underneath the dust jacket is the same. So let's shift the focus back to this. We have this amazing image of who could possibly just only be Ultron, but whose sword is that? Who does that belong to? The Marvel Omnibus logo, Annihilation Conquest, and the spine of the book, and then the back of the book right here. Now, this book has been printed twice. As a matter of fact, I've done an overview of the new printing. Here it quickly is compared to my original 2015 printing. Looking just a little bit more blue over here. It has a little more blue tone. And yes, I have done a overview of the second printing. So this will be the third printing, Annihilation Conquest, the same picture down there, the Marvel Omnibus logo, looking a little bit different these days than in 2015. The retail price of the book, $125. This time around, the retail price is $100. Inflation, baby. It's going to get you. Rated Teen Plus, Rated Teen Plus. And actually, it looks like it's the same kind of content. Yeah, it looks like a little bit more bluish tone over here than in the 2015 printing. Now, what I'm going to do is open this up really quick, or actually take the dust jacket off to kind of compare, but it's the same images. Actually, while we have the dust jacket on, where does it fit into the reading order of the modern Marvel Cosmic era? Well, it fits right after Annihilation and before the prelude to War of the Kings, and then we got War of the Kings, and then, of course, Realm of the Kings. Yes, I hope that they reprint the Prelude and Realm, because those are the only two that need to be reprinted. All the other books have been reprinted at least once, and in the case of Annihilation Conquest and Annihilation, they have been reprinted printed three times. The flaps of the book right here, and then the image of Ultron, again when we saw the spine right there, and then the back of the book. This one here printed at the Donnelly printer, and the new book printed at the Mega Print. So we'll be doing an internal comparison. But I'm just going to go ahead and tell you that I enjoy the hell out of talking about the original Annihilation, since I've already done an overview of this. If you want to see a comparison, like a thorough comparison, go back to my previous video that came out a couple of years ago. Today, I'm going to not hold anything back and talk about spoilers, because I love this event. As much as I love the Annihilation, Conquest is my favorite of the modern... No, you know what? Out of all of the Marvel Cosmic stories, this story was my favorite. So, yeah, spoilers. I'm just going and telling you because I'm excited to talk about this, and people had fun when I talked about the last Annihilation reprint with complete spoilers. So, let's do it again. All right, let's go ahead and open this book up. There's your end sheets and your title page right there with Phyla-Vell and Star-Lord and Ronan and Moondragon, and your credits right here, who worked on what book. And then kicking it off with Nova #1. I love that we're kicking it off with a new ongoing series because of Annihilation and the popularity of it. Nova was born. So collected in here is Nova 1 through 12, Annual #1, Annihilation Conquest Prologue, Annihilation Conquest Star-Lord 1 through 4, Annihilation Conquest Quasar 1 through 4, Annihilation Conquest Wraith 1 through 4, Annihilation Conquest, the 6-issue miniseries, and the Annihilation Saga. The book has 872 pages and retails for $100. All right, we said we were going to talk about spoilers. Let's talk about spoilers. At the end of Annihilation, we did see that Nova was one of the key players in there, him and Star-Lord. It's really cool to see some of these characters that haven't been seen for a long. It's been years since Nova has had a thing. I think Eric Larson's series was the last time we saw Nova, Richard Rider, play a part in the Marvel Universe. So it was nice to see him. So in the first issue, he still has Worldmind. He's still the only Nova, because the Nova Corps was destroyed by the Annihilation Wave. He's fighting off bugs in different sectors of the galaxy. And he's kind of going off on Worldmind, who is talking to him. He's like, yo, you need to tell me who needs help. And there's like a backlog of people that need to help him. This at the time is right. This is written by Dan Abnett and Andy Lanning, Sean Chen being the artist during these first 3 issues. I love the way this is mapped, by the way, which I'll explain here in a little bit. It's mapped just like the original printing. So yes, he goes off on Worldmind, telling him that you need to tell me, who needs help now. So he tries to go and fly out to a sector because, unfortunately, one of the places that he tries to help out, all the people are dead, and he ends up actually arriving on Earth. So this is a confrontation because during this time, it's important to note that we have this Dark Reign era. This is after Civil War. And Tony Stark is kind of trying to recruit him. He's reunited with his mom and dad. I love this because... yeah, I just read the classic, or not the classic, but the second Nova series in that Nova and Night Thrasher omnibus. Yeah, Nova's being recruited, or trying to get recruited by the director of S.H.I.E.L.D., who is now Iron Man. And he's like, I don't know, let me think about it. And this is, again, spoilers for what happens at the beginning of Civil War. But this is when he is approached by Justice. This is Marvel Boy, and Vance Astrovik, who will one day become the character of Major Victory. But during this time, he's calling himself Justice, and he's kind of catching Nova up to speed. He's telling Richard about what happened to the rest of the New Warriors, how they formed a team, and now Dwayne is dead, and so is Namorita. And he's asking, what? And if you remember the New Warriors, like, he had a relationship with Namorita. They were in love. So he's kind of destroyed by this, and he doesn't know how to react. And he's asking, where's Robbie? Where's Speedball? And he was like, well, last I heard he was in jail. And don't worry, there's going to be a bit of a reunion here. I love that Diamond Head comes here and tries to pick a fight with him. This is like one of his worst enemies, and Nova's just able to take him out pretty quick because he's got all this power. He's got the power of the Nova Corps. Then we're seeing the Thunderbolts, because during this time it's Dark Reign again, and it's the Thunderbolts approaching him about how they heard there was a disturbance. So they're playing the role of superheroes. Again, this is during the Warren Ellis era, and when the character Robbie became this character known as Penance. So that's what's happening through here, where we have him approach as Penance, but he doesn't want to tell him who he is, not at first. So after this fight, Tony Stark approaches him. Penance is looking at his friend, and he ends up going to his house. And he's like, I just wanted to see a friend. So after the events of Civil War, Robbie blames himself, and this happened in the Penance miniseries, and it's in Thunderbolts, for responsible for the school blowing up, and that caused the events of Civil War. So he thinks that he needs to suffer for that, so he kind of gave himself an Iron Maiden type of outfit, and now goes about Penance. And by this point, like, Richard's had it. He's like, I don't like what this world has turned into. Boosh! He flies, man. He's gone. He's like, I don't want to come back. I love my parents. He's arguing with them, and he loves his friends, but it seems like the world is so different. So he goes back to space where he feels like he truly belongs. Then we have the Annihilation Conquest prologue. The prologue is again written by Dan Abnett and Andy Lanning. Keith Giffen is kind of taking a step back, and they are the ones that are working on this series. Mike Perkins is the artist on this, and this is really kind of foreshadowing what is to come. And it is the characters of Moondragon and her relationship with Phyla-Vell, who is during this time going as Quasar. Also the character of Peter Quill, not really a Star-Lord right now, he still has those cybernetic parts, but he's meeting with some of the Space Knights. And the Quantum Bands start telling and warning Phyla-Vell that something is coming, a conquest is coming. And you're going to start seeing characters from the original Annihilation show up that are acting a little bit different. Even the Space Knights that are trying to take over the Kree Empire. So during this time, it's very important to note that the Kree Empire are kind of like taking over a lot of the territory that belonged to the Skrulls. Because the Skrulls are kind of like no more. This is introducing a new threat to the galaxy. And it definitely has that epic feel that the Annihilation did. That wave that came. This time around, though, it seems like what is going on is a virus, like a techno-organic virus that is assimilating with people, including Kree Sentinels, and not just robots, but like people, humans, and anybody they can get a hold of. And as it turns out, it is the Phalanx that is behind everything, that is assimilating people. And these people just want to become one. That's what they say. We must be one. We must join together. Even the Space Knights have been taken over, and it turns out it's the Phalanx that's behind them. But then again, they're not alone. So that immediately continues into the Nova ongoing series. Again, this is issues 4 through 7. And this is the early part of the conquest, so like right before the conquest begins. And it's to be treated like a mini-series. So 4, 5, 6, and 7 are kind of like your 4-issue mini-series that leads into the original Annihilation, if you will. So like Star-Lord has a 4-issue mini-series, Quasar has a 4-issue mini-series, and then you have Wraith, who has a 4-issue mini-series. But this is about the Phalanx going after the character of Richard Rider and how he's not really able to escape, even with the help of Worldmind. So much so that in this issue we are introduced to Kor-El, who is the captain of this group of Kree right here that have escaped, and she becomes the new Nova Prime. So we're led to believe that Richard Rider is dead, and we have the Phalanx, or characters that have been assimilated by the Phalanx. I'm going to skip a little bit through here, because otherwise this is going to take forever, that are going after Richard Rider, that can't find him, and everybody thinks he's dead, and now they're going after the new Nova Prime, which is this new character. And I really like the character of Kor-El. I think she's a great character. And then we find out where the character of Nova has been. If you remember the original Annihilation, I almost said Annihilation, or Phalanx, that him and Gamora started a relationship. Well, she kind of lures him here and seduces him, and she heals him. So he's okay. So now it looks like Worldmind is actually able to create some more Nova Corps members, which will become important later on. Drax is trying to get away from people, but everybody just seems to get a... Damn. Wow. Zop. What kind of sound is Zop? Whatever it is, man, it's working. My boy Nova's putting his moves on Gamora, the sexiest woman in the galaxy, according to Nova. But they, even when they're controlled by the Phalanx, they start having a relationship. So this becomes really cool. Like, you know, we think we're going to be reading about Richard Rider the whole time, but then we're reading about this new Kree warrior, Kree captain named Kor-El, who is kind of starting to think that maybe we can rebuild the Nova Corps. So there is hope. While other characters are trying to escape the assimilation, including Richard Rider. Now, this will continue into the next issues, because the next issues are really interesting, because issues 8 through even the annual take place during Annihilation, but the way they're mapped, they're separated, and I'll explain what that is here in a little bit. All right, Star-Lord. Oh my gosh, this is a wonderful bridge that gets Star-Lord past the Annihilation and kind of sets up who he will become in the stage after Annihilation Conquest, because he is recruited by the Kree here. They heal his eye, so he gets rid of the cybernetic parts, has surgery, And they kind of send him on a suicide mission. And he gets to pick people to go with him that are in prison. So he's like, oh, it's like the Dirty Dozen. The Kree are like, what the hell's a Dirty Dozen? He's like, ah, never mind. It's just a primitive Terran reference. All right, who we got? We've got Bug from the Micronauts. That's right. Deathcry was a character from the Avengers, the leather jacket years. Mantis, the Celestial Madonna, classic Steve Englehart character. Captain Universe, who's been many different characters. And this time around, it's a young kid. Gabriel Vargas is his name. And then we've got probably what a lot of people think of when they think of the Guardians of the Galaxy, besides Mantis and Star-Lord, and that is Rocket Raccoon and Groot. Yeah. Believe it or not, this is the beginning of the Guardians of the Galaxy. Remember when I said that out of Annihilation, we got Nova spun out of Annihilation? Out of Annihilation Conquest, it was so popular. Not only did Nova continue, but we got a Guardians of the Galaxy ongoing comic with the remaining members. Again, I'm going to talk about spoilers. Not everybody survives. What's interesting here is that Groot is shown to speak normally throughout this miniseries. Again, this is written by Keith Giffen and Timothy Green doing the artwork. I love the artwork here. And we have just an interesting array of characters that don't normally come together. And it's weird because this is the first time we've had characters like Mantis, Groot, and Rocket become part of the Guardians of the Galaxy. They've never worked together. Neither has Star-Lord. It's always been like Major Victory and Charlie, like Charlie 27, those characters right there. Not these characters. So it's really cool to see like a brand new set of Guardians of the Galaxy. So they have a mission to infiltrate the Phalanx, and if they get caught, well, they may not survive. And then there's like inner turmoil between them. Like they don't really trust each other. So much so that when Deathcry snaps at Captain Universe, he accidentally kills her because he doesn't know his powers. He's like, oh my god, what did I do? All you see left of Deathcry is just feathers, because she's Shi'ar, and bone and blood. Man, it's crazy, but this is what will happen, and they will go in, try to infiltrate the Phalanx, get information out, and just become the Guardians of the Galaxy. And oh, it is so good. Even though it is a Star-Lord miniseries, it does feel like the beginning of the Guardians. And by the end of this, you'll have these characters play a huge part in the Annihilation Conquest storyline. Again, it is important to note that Groot doesn't really talk like I am Groot. He talks in complete sentences. It's not until the ongoing Guardians of the Galaxy that... Actually, no, it's in Annihilation Conquest that he first starts talking, I am Groot. That's how he says it. All right, then we get Quasar. So, during this time, Phyla-Vell is Quasar. She is the embodiment of both Captain Marvel, because her father's Mar-Vell. If you read, her character makes appearances in the Captain Marvel comic, the one with Peter David, with Genisville, her brother. It's when he kind of rebuilds the world, if you will. So this is the one that is written by Christos Gage. Mike Lilly's the artist on this book. But this is Phyla and the character of Moondragon going on another type of adventure. What they're listening to are the quantum vans, and the main villain through this series is the Super Adaptoid that also has been taken over by the Phalanx. So he plays a part of like going after them, and I mean he's a tough opponent, so much so that he can recreate the quantum bands, which we've never really seen the Super Adaptoid doing, but then again, he is the Super Adaptoid for a reason. You also have the characters in here of the Priest of Pama, which of course Heather and the character of Phyla-Vell were part of. And you'll see Moondragon actually becoming a dragon here to help out the character of Quasar on her quest. So the quantum bands are sending both of them on a quest to go and try to find kind of like the Messiah, if you will, the savior of the entire Annihilation Conquest. And if you've been reading comics for a while, especially the cosmic stuff, you immediately know who that is. But it's still really cool to be surprised, right? When you even have Wendell start talking to her, that she'll play a big part in here, and that she is the new Quasar. but it is who is in this cocoon that the Supreme Intelligence is summoning to help, and that is none other than Adam Warlock. Adam Warlock was left out of the party in the first Annihilation, and will be a big crucial part of this storyline. So that's their mission, and that's what they go and do. They're kind of on the outskirts of everything else that's going on, but the Super Adaptoid reminds you that, hey, it's the Phalanx Covenant that are taking over. Wraith. Who is Wraith? Wraith is a scientific experiment, a man lost, a mysterious guy. I'll be honest with you, I think Wraith was always my least favorite part. I hate saying that, but it was my least favorite part of the Annihilation Conquest, because I thought he was going to play, just based on design, like a really cool part. This one is written by Javier Grillo, Max Marsuac, and Kyle Hutz doing the artwork through here. But what Wraith really does is bring in the characters of Kalert. So Super Skrull makes an appearance through here, as well as introduce new characters like this lady right here. Believe it or not, who looks like Mystique, and her name is Raven. It's like R-A-V-E-N-N. Looks a lot like our Raven, Darkholme, and her name is Raven, or maybe Raven, you pronounce it. But it brings in other characters, like Ronan the Accuser, who's been taken over by the Wraith, who's going after, who's been taken over by the Phalanx, who's going after Wraith. And it brings in, like I mentioned, the Super Skrull, Kalert. This is where you're going to see a reunion of Kalert and the character of Praxagora. I love that character. And when you think that, oh man, they're going to get reunited for this big fight, it's coming. So it's the Super Skrull. It's Ronan. By the time this is over, of course, Ronan is cured. So there is a cure. That's what I forgot to mention, but I'll talk. Of course, there's a cure for the assimilation, for these characters that are becoming assimilated with the Phalanx. There is a cure, and Wraith has something to do with that because of just the scientific experiments done on him. And then we go back to Nova. Remember what I said, that Nova issues 8 through 12 basically take place during the event, but they can be read before, or you can read issue 1. I think this is mapped great. I like the way this is mapped, because this doesn't really ruin anything, because you'll see what I mean. So Nova's on his own adventure again, trying to get clean, if you will, because right in the middle of Conquest, as Conquest is about to start, we have the introduction of Nowhere. Cosmo, these characters that show up in Guardians of the Galaxy, they all start here. The Celestial Head and the beings that are living here, I wish we had explored it a little more, but we'll see more of this in the Guardians of the Galaxy ongoing series, and in the continuation of the Nova series. But we are introduced to Cosmo and Nowhere in these very issues. And then we have a continuation of Gamora going after Nova, manipulating him. He's not fully clean of the Phalanx, but eventually does get clean. This is one of the most, this is an homage to issue number 1, by the way. This is one of the most interesting annuals, because it's like right in the middle of the crossover, and it's a throwback. It's like a sneaky way of throwing an annual in here that goes in between issues 10 and 11. Perfectly placed. You could skip it, but I don't recommend skipping anything. How do you appreciate the bad? Or I mean the good, without reading the bad. Not that this is bad, by the way. It's a retelling. It's just a interesting way. He's like in a comatose stage, and it tells you like a little bit about his past, and kind of reintroducing you to the character of Richard Rider. What is, to me, the best part, the part that I was like, oh, I completely forgot about this. So Richard ends up going to visit Kvitch, and Kvitch is kind of like the home world of the Technarchy. This is Alex Malev cover right there. And who he finds here, who is going to help him, because he's alone against the Phalanx, the big characters that are going after him, and everybody seems freaking assimilated, including him. Like, he can't get away from this assimilation. None other than Self-Friend Warlock. What the hell? Yeah, like his race, of course, have ties to the Phalanx. And it is very similar to the Phalanx Covenant if you've read those issues, but the Phalanx really seem more threatening here. He's not alone. His other characters are here too, that are kind of like the character of Warlock's race. He tells him about where he's been, and if you're a fan of New Mutants, you're loving this stuff. I'm like, what? I did not expect to find Warlock. The last time we saw Warlock anywhere was, I think, in the X-51 series. That was a short-lived series. But by the end of Nova, by the time we get to issue number 12, we'll have Drax the Destroyer, Gamora, and Warlock that are completely clean of the Phalanx virus. So now they're ready to help. So for the first few issues, for like the first 4 issues, you don't even see the character of Nova. It's awesome. I love that. Like, you kind of like forget. And that's why I said it's okay to read it before Annihilation Conquest. When you get to Conquest 1, you're more concerned about what in the hell is Quasar gonna do? What are Moondragon gonna do? Because by the end of issue number 1, we find out who is really pulling the strings of everything bad across the galaxies. Like, and we get characters in here that you're like, wait, what? How? We've got like Senmu right here. We've got the character of Korath right here. And we've got other characters like, oh yeah, this guy right here, Shatterax from Iron Man, right? Like characters that appeared in the Marvel Comics for a long time and now have been assimilated by the Phalanx. We've got Wraith and his crew, but really it's Ronan and his crew showing up, including Raven. And then, of course, Adam Warlock with Moondragon and Phyla-Vell, now getting the help of the High Evolutionary. But who is behind everything is none other than Ultron. And he shows his mighty power by killing the person that he thinks was part of the failure of this mission, and that is the character of Korath. So we see Korath, and then he just goes away. So we find out that it is Ultron teaming up with the Phalanx, and they're experimenting on Blastar right there from the negative zone. And now it's a huge outfight between our Guardians of the Galaxy, who are not really the Guardians of the Galaxy during this time. They're just kind of the leftover team of the suicide mission. We've got Phyla-Vell's team that has Adam Warlock, so you know Adam Warlock is going to play a big part. But yes, Ultron goes on a rampage. Like, he ends up killing Moondragon right here in front of Phyla-Vell, and man, she rages out. It is this amazing fight. Tom Rainey, by the way, supplying the artwork now for this miniseries. And Dan Abnett and Andy Lanning drawing all these issues. Ravenous comes back, only to be taken down. And then, yes, we got this team right here. So it's really cool to see a reunion of these classic characters, brand new characters, and unfortunately the new Captain Universe doesn't make it. He ends up getting killed by Blastar right here, issue number 3. But worry not, because when the crap is about to hit the fan, that's when none other than Nova and his new friends come to the rescue to help out the Guardians of the Galaxy and the remaining forces of this resistance that are going up against, of course, the Phalanx Covenant that have now taken over Adam Warlock. I love that, like, the crap's about to hit the fan, and at the last second, Nova and his buddies show up. And he's like, all right, the Phalanx have seized the Kree Empire. We need to do something about this. So this is how the big fight happens. It is a huge fight of these characters and Ultron and the Phalanx. And I love this fight with Ultron. Like, Ultron gets huge. And, of course, Warlock helps cure people. So he's able to cure Adam Warlock. Phyla-Vell's able to bring life back into him. And, oh, man, my character of Praxagora ends up sacrificing herself because Ultron put a freaking bomb in her. I wish I had read more of that, or gotten more of that character. Ultron's all big and mighty now. But with the combined forces of Wraith, who kind of comes out of nowhere. And I don't care. It's a good MacGuffin. Whatever, it works. Visually pleasing. And then, of course, Phyla-Vell, they're able to destroy Ultron. And then we get, like, the aftermath, which is sweet. It's like, okay, this is what we're doing. Phyla-Vell is honoring the memory of Moondragon. Ronan's kind of feeling out of place. Wraith is doing something. We don't really see a lot of Wraith after this event, honestly. And then Star-Lord has an idea. Peter Quill is like, you know, maybe we can make a team. Groot gets destroyed, but comes back, as we know. Maybe we can do something and continue doing it, and that will lead into Annihilation. Or, I'm sorry, that will lead into Guardians of the Galaxy. And, oh, man. Annihilation data right here tells you pretty much catching up to speed what happened in case you missed the Annihilation. And then you have the handbook stuff back here telling you about the characters and their powers, their first appearances. And very, very quickly, let's look at the binding, 872 pages, sewn binding. Printed at the Mega Print, again, thick, glossy paper stock. So really, really quickly, what I want to do is just quickly compare it to the original printing here, which was printed at the Donnelly printer 10 years ago. The paper stock in the new printing, honestly, Feels about as thick as the one that was printed 10 years ago at the Donnelly printer. The colors seem just a little bit brighter than the colors over here. And really no bleed through happening. If anything, it's minimal bleed through. But what I want to get to is an actual double page spread where you can see the way the books lay over. Man, this book has been read a lot in 10 years. But gutter loss is less over here. Again, because it's been read a lot and I opened it up and stretched the spine years ago. And just a little bit over here. But that's it. Hope you enjoyed the spoiler overview. Had a lot of fun. That, as they say, is that. If you're interested in purchasing this omnibus, don't forget to check out our sponsors.
If you're in Europe and you're interested in buying these books, definitely check out Walt's Comic Shop in Berlin, Germany. They have the cheapest pre-order prices, flat shipping rate of €12 for all EU countries, emails answered within 24 hours, waltscomicshop.com, and you can use the code nearmintcondition at checkout and get free shipping for all EU countries with your first order over €40. That's Walt's Comic Shop, your reliable source for omnis and premium collected editions in Europe. Ding!
CheapGraphicNovels.com, your online home for graphic novels and collected editions up to 50% off cover price. They have excellent shipping and prompt and helpful service. Check out their bargain deals for up to 90% off cover price. And don't forget that CGN also takes pre-orders. That way you don't miss out on the hottest releases. And they are currently running a special promotion for you Minties. If you're a first-time customer, after receiving your order confirmation email, reply back to that email and let them know Near Mint Condition sent you their way. They will then apply a free shipping promotional credit to your next order in the US. Cheap Graphic Novels, your source for the hottest books with the kind of deep discount, quality shipping, and customer service that will keep you coming back for more.
And that was the content, the page count, and build of this Omni. In the comments down below, let me know if you are picking this up. If you already have it collected in omnibus format, because you had one of the 2 previous printings, or you missed out on it, or you're going to go the epic route. Just wait around until the epics get there. And again, if you want those 2 other books reprinted, The Prelude to War of the Kings and Realm of the Kings. And if you have any questions, leave them down below. Smash that like button on the way out. Everyone, stay healthy and safe out there. Much love.